There are three main conspiracy theories about Milošević's death. First, I'm going to give a little background of the situation. Milošević was seen as one of the people responsible for Yugoslav wars. In September 2000, Milošević tried to steal the elections. There were huge protests against Milošević. They are known as Bulldozer Revolution or 5th October Revolution. Milošević had to accept his defeat. In June 2001, Milošević was arrested. He was extradited to ICTU in The Hague, Netherlands. ICTU stands for International Criminal Tribunal for Former Yugoslavia. I will call them the Tribunal. Milošević died before the trial was over. Technically speaking, Milošević died as an innocent man. Many Milošević supporters believed there was not enough evidence to sentence him. Milošević complained on poor health. Milošević asked to go to Russia for further treatment, but the tribunal refused. Milošević died soon after his request was denied. Now I have to point out these are conspiracy theories. All three theories are based on belief that Milošević would have been acquitted. The tribunal invested too much in sentencing Milošević. The tribunal would have been humiliated if Milošević walked free. Theory number 1 says the tribunal didn't provide adequate care. Milošević was left to die even though his condition was treatable. The truth is, people die every day from minor injuries or treatable illnesses. There is no guarantee that Milošević would have survived with different care. Theory number 2 says the tribunal actually killed Milošević. The end of the trial was nearing, and the tribunal needed to get rid of Milošević. So they either poisoned him or gave him the wrong medicine. Is there any evidence for this theory? Croat Slobodan Praljak drank poison when he was sentenced and died. Praljak drank poison in front of the cameras in courtroom. Someone had to give him the poison. Praljak's death proves that poisoning someone inside the tribunal is possible. Could he smuggle the poison without the help from the guards? If guards participated in Praljak's poisoning, then they could have poisoned Milošević. Theory number 3 is craziest and most entertaining. Milošević didn't die in March 2006. Milošević reached secret agreement with the tribunal. They will let him go to Russia if he pretends to be dead. What is the evidence for this theory? The casket was sealed. People were suspicious why the casket wasn't open. The casket has to be sealed when the body is transported from one country to another. Still, many believed the casket should have been unsealed. Members of Milošević's family didn't attend his funeral. Many saw this as a sign that it wasn't a real funeral. If Milošević was truly dead, then his family would have been present. Milošević's son traveled to The Hague. Within hours, he returned to Russia, where he lives. Some believed that son came to pick up his father and smuggle him to Russia. Milošević's brother had operation in Russia. He had the same surgery Slobodan Milošević would have had. Some believed it was actually Slobodan who had the surgery under his brother's name. How likely is for two brothers to need the same surgery? I read about the case of mother and daughter who had breast cancer at the same time. It is possible for people in the same family to suffer from the same illness. Does this mean Milošević is still alive? Some think he died later and his body was smuggled into Serbia. I heard claim that Milošević's body was brought when his wife died. Milošević's wife Mirjana died in 2019 in Moscow, Russia. Her body was transported to their hometown of Požarevac. Milošević and his wife are buried in the garden. This means it wouldn't be hard to bury someone there secretly. I think too many people would have been involved in this conspiracy. It wouldn't be possible to conceal the truth. How likely was Milošević to be pronounced not guilty? Yugoslav wars were a legal nightmare. Milošević faced 66 counts. Some charges were hard to prove. The tribunal made a mistake of bringing too many charges. They should have picked charges that are easily proved. I am sure Milošević would have been found guilty of some of the 66 charges, but not of all. Could have Milošević killed himself? The official cause of his death is heart attack. If there were any evidence of suicide, the tribunal would have shared such information. The tribunal would gain nothing by concealing suicide. The heart attack can be caused by many things. Milošević suffered from high blood pressure. People with high blood pressure often have heart attacks. Milošević's opponents want to believe that he killed himself because he knew he was going to be found guilty. Theoretically speaking, it is possible that Milošević preferred death rather than serving years in prison. And there is the fact both Milošević's parents committed suicides. Statistics say that people whose parents committed suicide are more likely to do the same. Protesters in Serbia used to chant for years, "Save Serbia by killing yourself, Slobodan." I don't think Milošević would have killed himself quietly. He would have done it more shockingly. Unless he was trying to preserve his image. His hardcore fan base would accept his suicide as the act of martyr. They always found excuses for him. They would say Milošević sacrificed himself for the good of Serbia. Or Milošević was trying to make himself feel worse. If his health deteriorated enough, then the tribunal would perhaps let him go to Russia. But the tribunal could have sent him to any European country for treatment. And they already refused to let Milošević go to Russia. Would Milošević risk his life if things were so uncertain? I never had the impression that Milošević was a risk-taker. What theory is most popular among Serbs? I would say most people think the tribunal was waiting for Milošević to die. When compared to Nuremberg trials, the Milošević trial was too long. Nuremberg trials weren't perfect, but they set some standards. All the trials in front of the tribunal dragged for years. Why did they need so much time? Because of the long trials, most people lost interest in watching them on TV. This means that average person in former Yugoslav republics has no idea how the trial went on. The tribunal lost the momentum. Verdicts didn't bring closure or reconciliation. What do I think? I think people should be held accountable for their actions. I have no problem with the trials in general, but I do think the tribunal failed in many things. Could the tribunal avoid all the conspiracy theories? No, not really. Most Serbs love conspiracy theories. People will believe in whatever they want. Evidence is not important.